Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we're going to take a look at my build for Master Roshi, the yellow Master Roshi, and we're going to talk about, well, how good he is as a unit. Now Master Roshi has some pretty interesting mechanics. I think he introduces the seal mechanic, which is a very cool mechanic, and he's actually very good and provides a lot of staples of control. We'll talk about his moves and everything first, but his shot or his blast is 150% to blast damage inflicted against enemy's armor. His Kamehameha increases special damage and also has additional damage if the enemy is mobilized or heavily immobilized. He has the Sleepy Boy technique, which basically draws a special arts move card next, restores his own ki by 50, shortens the ally substitution count by 3, immobilizes the enemy and inflicts the enemy with attribute downgrade plus 20% to damage received. It also cancels the enemy's attribute upgrades. Now this is a pretty important technique because if you can get the timing right in it, which I'm not great at to be honest with you, but if you can get the timing right in it, you can actually pretty much stun lock an enemy to completely set up for a move, which is really strong. He's then got the Evil Containment Wave, which is obviously his main ability, and this is the most important one, because if the Evil Containment Wave hits, he will seal the enemy on hit. If there are at least 2 enemy battle members remaining, the damage from the Evil Containment Wave does not cause an enemy to be defeated, and the damage from Evil Containment Wave does not cause an enemy with a revive when it reaches health effect to revive. So that's pretty big. So it stops reviving characters, which is pretty crazy. He can only seal one character at a time, and you can't obviously use it on the last character, but it's pretty crazy. The only condition to it is that Master Roshi obviously, can't die. If he dies, the Evil Containment Wave will break. In terms of his unique abilities, he has Turtle Hermit School Founder, which is just some flat buffs, -10 to blast art card costs, art cost draw speeds, 6% key recovery, damage reduction, etc. Restores his own health by 3% as well upon strike and blast hits, and then he has the power through abstinence, which is pretty wild, where he gets plus 80% to the next blast art's damage inflicted, restores his ki by 30, and applies attribute downgrade -30% to enemy sustained CUT effects. In terms of equipment, just saw that on the screen, but just to run through it with you guys, his best equipment is pretty straightforward. Awakened Explosive Clash, the key recovery, strike defense, and the blast attack, pretty good. And then you've got U4 Keep Hitting 'em Hard, which is obviously the platinum equip with Android 17. Also very good. Just a great flat kind of buffing piece of gear that honestly just is very solid. And then your next best option, or at least the one I find to be the next best option, is the Super Warrior, which is Universe 7, and that's just 15% to defense, 50% to all attacks, and 10% to health, which is pretty good for the most part. I don't think there's specifically any other gear that is maybe super duper solid. There is the Awakened I'm Getting Excited, which is a decent gear. Gives you base strike defense, base blast defense, can give you huge base blast or base strike, and then it also gives you key recovery and special move damage. But I think you want to favor the health on the other gears, which is very important in PvP as always. So yeah, that is kind of the big deal. As you can see here, we hit the immobilization, which is pretty big, and we followed up with more damage. It's not it wasn't just to show, it was to show the immobilization effect, which is very powerful, but it was also to show the fact that his ultimate can do some pretty decent damage to a red unit, which is solid, especially Hit, who's decently tanky as a red, which I think does help him out quite a bit. One thing I will say about Master Roshi, which is really cool, so if he drops into the battlefield, he will have 80% increased damage to his next blast art attack. So it's actually a lot of damage. Like, it's a lot. The plus 80% works out to being quite a bit, which is really good. So yeah, in general, I think he looks really solid, at least for me. So yeah, I really like how he looks, at least from my perspective. Ooh, yeah, Pan's gonna get the hit treatment. Very cool. I like how they're introducing more interestingly designed characters. Yeah, LF17, this LF35 Goku, this Master Roshi. I like how they're introducing more interesting like builds or ways to build characters, which I think is really solid. And you can see here how much damage Master Roshi is managing to do with his blast attacks. Like it's quite a substantial amount, because remember it will increase the damage inflicted by 20%. So hitting them with multiple like attacks really does a lot. Not to mention also it inflicts enemy with attribute downgrades, such as increasing their card cost as well. And you can see how powerful the seal mechanism is here. Master Roshi managing to seal up an entire ally now hits locked in place, and you can really start to go pretty ham on hits whose cost, remember, is much higher now. It's harder for him to combo in. And this makes Master Roshi a really good foil for this Goku, because the big issue with Goku is Goku doesn't combo well. Yeah, Goku doesn't combo crazy. He's not the kind of guy that does like a huge heavy combo or anything like that. He like his tempo control only comes later on, like when he really starts to build up. Whereas if you have Master Roshi, he provides a lot of utility that allows you to control the opposition, and this in turn makes Goku look really solid, at least for me. So yeah, I would say overall, you know, Master Roshi is really solid, like really good. Obviously, I think, you know, not to criticize or anything, I think, you know, there is a bit of skill involved. I'm not saying a lot, but you do need to practice hitting the special a little bit. And obviously you need to make sure that you hit his evil containment wave. Like there are certain moments that will make things a bit difficult because of the fact that, like, okay, you know, Master Roshi himself, you know, like he seals the unit, okay, but then he dies. Then you lose the whole point of the seal. Master Roshi, you know, seals the unit, but then he, like, you know, obviously doesn't do too much afterwards. People say I think Master Roshi does fine, and he's great. I mean, he disrupts the opposition really well, which I think is really good. The only problem with this exact team build here is I don't have a lot of tempo breakers. So barring the revive from Goku, there's not a lot. A revive and 2 strike cover changes, which gives us a little bit of a problem against blast heavy lineups, which again isn't the end of the world by any means, but it isn't necessarily so great in terms of performance. Yeah, but to each, like I say, to each their own. It's not a huge issue for me. I think you know, in general the team does pretty well, and yeah, I like them a lot. I still think Gogeta Blue does cause huge problems, even with the Master Roshi. Gogeta Blue can still tear apart this specific team. If you have Android 17, it is a lot better, but yeah, Gogeta Blue can still really cause issues, and that's okay. I'm fine with an ultra rare unit causing problems for a team. I think it's more than fine. I'm not like someone who thinks that all units, you know, every subsequent update needs to kind of plateau, or sorry, trash out a previous unit that's come out. Master Roshi is a great answer to Gogeta to assist Goku, but he's not the only answer. He's not like a huge answer to that problem. But at the end of the day, you know, to each their own. And me personally, I think that most, or at least myself, I'm pretty happy with the overall performance of like these of Master Roshi. Yeah, I think he adds a lot to the team. I think he does a great job. Yeah, I think he does a fantastic job overall. And I think in general he brings exactly what you need to the team. Yes, yeah, I guess in theory, yeah, you could do something else or do a different kind of build or a different variation, but I think for the most part, for me, I'm just really quite happy with like what he brings. And I think for me at least, one thing I do like about Master Roshi is his gimmick inverted commas mechanic. Could be something that helps out a lot, like over the long period of time. It's something that could keep him relevant for a while as a unit because of the fact that it's something so interesting. The ability to make it a 3-on-2 fight or a 3-on-1 fight or a 2-on-1 fight is always very powerful, for me at least. So I think it is something that I would like to say, you know, at the end of the day is probably a very, very, very solid choice for any team that's Universe Rep. And I think that's a really cool thing about Master Roshi. I think Super Warrior also gets a really nice buff with him. I think there's a chance that that team improves as well. And so yeah, I think overall, I think it's, yeah, just really good. I think in general it's really, 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 really good. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna say Master Roshi, very good, very good unit. And I think if you do have him, give him a try. It takes a little bit of practice to really nail down his like capabilities, but you can get it done really chilled. And if you can catch someone in a combo, he'll do huge damage, which I think is great. The only big issue that he has, honestly, is that he's a little bit like can be ripped through a little bit, which isn't always the best, but it's also not a huge problem, at least from my perspective. But yeah, I like him. I think he's great, and yeah, I think for me, probably very happy with his overall performance. He does good damage as well, and he's not untanky. I think he's quite reliably tanky, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with his overall performance as a unit. And since the team is blast heavy, to have another blast buffing unit like Master Roshi with such an interesting mechanic, with such powerful abilities, I think is a very good option and a very good choice overall. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I would say if there's one thing I could change about Master Roshi, it would be maybe if he was like Pan and had a cover change, but then I think he'd be too strong. I know that sounds weird to say about a general banner unit, but I think he would then provide maybe too much utility, especially if he had like a blast cover change. But he's great. Look at him, really stacking up here. And they forfeited. Alright, well there we go. So, pretty good stuff. Really impressed with Master Roshi. Gonna work on his gear now, instead of just having the placeholder A pieces. Gonna really try and get him some like good pieces of gear, and yeah, just take it from there. But thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your opinion on Master Roshi down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, bye.